Shri Upam Jagatam Sakaya Natam Tam Satikam Sakitam Sakitam Bhagatam Saitam Shri Krishna Namati Devana Krishna Tam 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. So we have heard the last statement about the practice of a yogi. But now Krishna will explain what are the realizations of the yogi. Srila Prabhupada explains a Krishna conscious yoga is a perfect seer because he sees Krishna situated in one's heart as the Superstar. He sees Krishna everywhere and everything in Krishna. Because he sees all the humanities equally. So Arjuna, after that, after hearing this realization of this yoga, will tell to Krishna, that's not practical for me. I cannot do this. He rejects that Ashtanga yoga system. It's impractical. Because the mind is so obstinate, uncontrollable. It's like trying to control the wind. But Krishna shows Arjuna, you can do it. Just you must practice with detachment. So yes, text 25. Again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Surely, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction. And thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. So by proper conviction and intelligence, one should cease activities. This is called pratyahara. Srila Prabhupada says that. So the mind being controlled by the conviction and by the meditation, that when one should be situated in trance. So Prabhupada writes, one should think of no pleasure aside from the pleasure of the Supreme Soul. This This state is easily attained by directly practicing Krishna consciousness. 26. 6. Yato nishanati manasam smanasthiyam tatastato nyamita atmaneva prasamnayat. For wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must slowly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the soul. So, that's all. When who controls the mind is called the Swami, the Swami. And when who is controlled by the mind is called Buddhas or servant, sons. So, serving Krishna with purified senses is called Krishna consciousness. This is the way of bringing the sense under full control. What is more, that is the highest perfection of yoga. You see here is little boy, a small boy, and for his first years is into Harinam, that fixing his mind on Krishna from the first years of his life. And this little boy you see here, there's a picture taken in Manipur. This, you know who it is? This little boy? Yes, Bhakti Swarupa. That Bhakti Swarupa. That is, yeah, just learning to control the mind from a young age. And he was such a gentle person. When I became the secretary for the GBC body, that I was sitting before the GBC meetings in GBC meeting. He came always to me offering his respect by very nice. And so it was one of the most gentle Vaishnavas that trained from the young age. That is not necessary to control the mind from the young age. Gauna Shetpakyo Dharma Bharatan Bharatatam Dilhamam Santam Tapyadu Nataram. Galatma says one should be trained in Krishna consciousness from the Kumara age 5 age, because this human form of life is very available obtained. Okay. Now, section 28 till 32. Krishna will speak about realization of the yogi. That at verse 27. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He's beyond a matter of question. He realizes its quality of identity with the Supreme, and thus is freed from the reactions to past deeds. So that's called the Brahma Buddha stage, or the beginning of spiritual life. Brahma Buddha, Prashanatma, assures Inakamsade, and is not lament or is not desiring anything in this form, and therefore is always peaceful, because his heart has become pure. That when he's free from material contamination. And then one can serve Krishna with devotion, affection, that otherwise If your heart is impure, you're offering your impurities to Krishna. Will not work. We don't do that. But the heart is pure, then the mind can be focused on Krishna. Otherwise, otherwise, Daya Parita Siddhas can be heard. Always is trapped. Since beyond the mode of question, you realize its qualitative identity with the Supreme. So we are all such in a qualitative that. And this is free from the reaction response. Yeah. It's at the Buddha stage, free from material contamination, not Bhakti, Lavati, Param, setting 1854. Then, when it's ready to enter the kingdom of God. So one cannot remain in the quality of Brahman, the absolute, until one's mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. That's the way to remain in the transcendental platform. So Vaimana and Krishna Radha, when they are there, Prabhupada quotes again, Ambarish Maharaj, how he used all his senses and his mind in the service of Krishna. So to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, or to remain in Krishna consciousness, to be factually liberated from the mode of passion and all material contamination. 28 is the highest stage of happiness. That Yomyameva Sadatmanam Yogi Prihita Kalmasa Sukhena Tamasam Sparsam Atyantam Sukham Sat Atyantam Sukhamasmate. This is certain of yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest state of perfect happiness in transcendental service to the Lord. That self-realization means knowing one's constitutional position in relation to the Supreme. The individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme, and his position is to render transcendental service. His transcendental contact with the Supreme Lord is called Brahma Samsparsha. Touch of Krishna. Touch. Yeah. Yes. Between which well, the first says that he's freed from all reaction, he's pure. And here it said, and then when he's free, he gets the highest perfection, transcendental loving service. Because these two are going together. That's one comes free, that beyond the mode of passion, and when one's free, one attains transcendental happiness. Yeah. 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 Sarvabhuta Samatmanam Sarvabhuta Satma Kshatriya Yogi Tatma Sattva Samadarshana. The true yogi observes me in all beings and also see every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. So, that's the true yogi sees the supercell in the God's hand. But he sees also that all these super souls are Krishna, that they are part of Krishna. They are within Krishna. That Mother Yasoda saw the whole universe within Krishna. That so he sees everything connected with Krishna. And, 29. So after describing the yoga practice of fixing the mind on the self, Krishna explains the realization of yoga. Prabhupada explains, Krishna conscious yoga is a perfect seer because he sees Krishna situated in everyone's heart of the superstar. He sees Krishna everywhere and everything, but he sees all living entities equally. So the highest happens. Self-realization means knowing one's constitutional position in relation with the Supreme. Individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme, and his position is to render transcendental service to the Lord. The vision of a true yogi. The yogi sees equally, because he sees that all living entities, all in different situations, according to the results of good work. In all circumstances, remain the servant of God. This vision of equality is perfect in a person in Christian consciousness. So the one point is that this yogi, Krishna conscious yogi, sees Krishna in one's heart. Of course, Krishna says that Sarvasya Parayvishna Vishnu Krishna accounts in 1515 and also in 1861. That Ishvara Sarvabhutna Vishayana Istativaman Pranamas Yantrodaya Maya. Ishvara Sarvabhutna Vishayana Istativaman Yantrodaya Sita Mashina The perfect yogi knows that the Lord is eternally transcendental and is not materially affected by his presence in either a dog or a Brahman. That is the supreme mentality of the Lord. A Krishna conscious person can see Krishna in the heart of both the believer and the non-believer. Living entities always in the Lord's energy. Every living entity is situated in him in one way or another. The yogi sees equally because he sees that all living entities, all in different situations according to the results of 24, in all circumstances remain the servant of God. While in the material energy, the living entity serves the material senses, while in the spiritual energy, he serves the Lord directly. In either case, the living entity is the servant of God. This vision of equality is perfect. A person in Krishna conscious Prabhupada explains the meaning in a very practical way. That 30. Yavam Pashati Sarvatra Sarvasumani Pashyati Tasyam Napanashami Sasami Panashati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So he who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me never loses sight of me, nor does I lose sight of him. Or the Vidyabhushan. Prabhupada says, the living entity becomes fully in love in Krishna. Then in that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated. Nor is a person not devoted ever out of sight of the devotee. That's big stuff. Good. Before we go to the next verse, Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, a position transcendental even to material liberation. In dat state, the living entity can never be annihilated. Knowledge the person of the God ever out of sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. The devotee does not take this risk. At the end of the purport. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the lotus Paramatma in the heart, the same applies. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. So such a devotee turns into a pure devotee. If he reaches that perfection, naturally it's turned into a pure devotee. But most deviated by mystic force or things. But I heard that Prabhupada on Sastri is devotee and also was also hearing that Prabhupada. So anyway, I can't comment on that for the past time of you devotee. Yeah. The devotee who loves Krishna completely cannot bear a moment without seeing Krishna. At this stage, the devotee never disappears from his sight, because he understands that nothing can exist without Krishna. That Lord Krishna is everything. That's a realization of the yogi. 31. Sarvabhutastam Sarvabhutastitam yomam vajatchikam pamastitam sarvatapatamanapi sayogi mai bhaktate. Such yogi who engages in the worship of the service of the super soul, knowing that I am the super soul, I and the super soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. So this is our realization of pure devotee. There is no difference between the innumerable super souls present in innumerable hearts living entities. Nor is there a difference between a Krishna conscious person always engaged in transcendental service, loving service of Krishna, and a perfect yoga engaged in meditation on the super soul. So Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. That is, the yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities, while immaterial existence remains always situated. But 32. Atmopayena sarvatra savampashti yogina sukamba bhaviyatva yadivadukam sayoga paramomata. He is a perfect yogi who by comparison to his own self sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and distress or Arjuna. Because of distress of living is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. And the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands, planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, it tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna to everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of the common Krishna consciousness. In other words, the devotee of the Lord looks always to the welfare of all living entities. And in this way, is factory the friend of everyone. He's the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. The yogi wears sweet brown to secluded face in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as the devotee who is trying his best to turn every man towards Krishna consciousness. So the devotee understands the distress of all living beings because he has experienced it himself. That why are they suffering? They have forgotten their relationship with Krishna. And because the devotee is happy in Krishna consciousness, he wants to give them this the gift of knowledge of Krishna. Therefore, a yogi does not do that, he meditates. Therefore, the devotee is better because the yogi is in a secluded place for meditation. So that is Krishna says that the translation of Baladevi Bhushan. O Arjuna, I consider him to be the topmost yogi who sees everywhere the happiness and distress of others as his own. The cause of distress of living entities is the forgetfulness of Krishna, and the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lives, and the sincere spheres of all living entities. And now, the next section is about that Arjuna's reaction and then Krishna's response to this reaction. Arjuna will say it's impractical. The mind is practical, often. You cannot control it, it's like controlling the wind. So, but Krishna says yes, control of the mind is possible by practice and detachment. But of course, yoga practice without mental control is advised. Shilpa makes the points also. So, yes. Arjuna rejects the Ashtanga yoga system as impractical because his mind appears uncontrollable. Yeah, he shows there between the two arms and the body is going to start. But this situation of distress, but Krishna assures Arjuna that it is possible to control the mind by constant practice and attachment, constant practice. So, yeah, text 33. Arjuna Vacha Yogyam Yogas Payaputta Samyena Madhusudana Itasyam Naveshanti Sansarat Path Stitim Stiram. Arjuna said, Madhusudan, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and endurable to me. The mind is restless and unsteady. So we have the Vishwanath that all the mind attached to mental enjoyment overcomes the intellect. That the senses make us gives the feeling of we should eat that nice food, and then we get to overeating, and then you have the problem that it overcomes the intellect. Because the mind pushes, yes, it tastes good, take another one, take another spoon, and then before you know it happened. That, so that's the mind. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home, go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in the age of power. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of power. If it were so 5,000 years ago, what of the present day? And Srila Prabhupada says in a lecture, Arjuna could not do it. He's 1,000 times more qualified than all of us. And he could not do it. So what with us that, yeah. And now, Arjuna, yeah. Yeah. So the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence. As an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine. The mind is fickle, agitating, strong, and firm. I think it's more difficult to control the wind. Which one actually I did that good? Translation, Prabhupada's translation. Tansanami Mana Krishna Pranati Balavatritam Tasyam Dhammane Vayari Vasudustam. The mind is restless, prevalent, obstinate, Krishna. The subdued, it is more difficult than controlling. But the mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intellect. Although the mind is supposed to be subservient to intelligence. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it overcomes even less own intelligence. As an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of the medicine. The easiest way to control the mind was suggested by Lord Chaitanya is chanting Hare Krishna, a great mantra for deliverance, in humility. The method prescribed is Savai Mana Krishna Vadara. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then there will remain no other engagement to agitate the mind. So we cannot capture the wind, we cannot control the mind. Only by chanting Hare Krishna, humility, can we be saved the mind's control. Yes. So here, the mind is a driving instrument. So the individual is the passenger in the car of the body. And intelligence is the drive. The mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. And that's just an image. But now Krishna says, 35. Krishna's reply. Asamsyama go manadunikam shanapya abhyasana kantya parikyana sekriyate. But Krishna said, Almighty aunt, son of Kunti, is undoubtedly very difficult to get the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and attention. So Krishna said already, Yato Yato Nishavati Manasana Samasana. When the mind wanders, you have to bring it back under control. So we chant Hare Krishna, and the mind wanders. We have to bring the mind back to hearing the Hare Krishna mantra, to focusing on Krishna. And when it wanders again, a few seconds later, we have again to bring it back. But then the chanting of japa becomes a whole fight with the mind, always bringing it back. That it's very difficult. It becomes very tiring. That But there is another way to control the mind. If you chant, try to put all your love and affection in it. And then it will become easy to fix your mind. But, because otherwise it's a big fight. Suitable practice and detachment. So what is suitable practice? Especially here in this verse, so Prabhupada translates suitable practice. So the suitable practice for this age is the chant of the Hare Krishna. It's high now for this age. That's the suitable practice. Suitable practice for the previous age was daily worship. Later, it was sacrifices. And in Sastri, it was meditation. For this age, the suitable practice is the chant of Hare Krishna. So the practice of Krishna consciousness, when engaged in 9 types of devotional service of the Lord, the first foremost of such devotional engagement is hearing about Krishna. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. Yes. Then we have 36, the last verse of this section. The suitable practice, vairagya, detachment, by the discharge of devotion, service, one feels transcendental satisfaction that the mind becomes detached from material object. Okay. Suitable practice and detachment. Here, the transcendental activity of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind. And eating foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is a process of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. That's from the purpose. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. It is my opinion that yoga is not possible for one uncontrolled mind. All the different levels. Now we come to the last section, the first text, 36. Asamsayatmana yoga duspata idimati asatmana tu yatata sakya bhaktam upayata. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult for, but he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured for success. That is my opinion. The Supreme Personality of God declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging your mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire by pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. The Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. Now Arjuna hereafter that he's asking a question, Krishna, but he's still doubtful in the process. What can I do? So he said, if such a yogi, if he doesn't reach a perfection in this life, does he lose everything, material and spiritual? And Krishna will say, a yogi, the one who does good, is never overcome by evil. Then he speaks about yoga for a short practice and a long practice. that and then he says, you have a long practice, this next life, he will again be able to revive the spiritual consciousness from his previous life and quickly come to the point he left off from previous life. But, so we will hear now about this. Julian asked about the destination of the unsuccessful yogi, but Krishna assures him that the yogi's next birth will be auspicious, giving another chance for self-help. Text 40. Eight first, the questions of Arjuna. Arjuna said that Krishna was the destination of an unsuccessful transcendentalist. In the beginning, takes the course of self-realization with faith, but later desists due to worldly mindedness, and does not attain perfection in mysticism. Almighty Aunt Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away, both spiritual and material success, and perish like a heaven cloud, with no position in any sphere? This is my daughter, Krishna. I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is found who can destroy this doubt. The Srila Prabhupada, the points he makes in his purposes. First, if you start to pursue the transcendental path, you want to become a devotee or a yogi, that it's like declaring war with illusory energy, Maya. So it means that some will not reach the perfection due to that war. They will be a victim. And Arjuna is asking what happens with him. Does he lose everything materially and spiritually? So, of course, Srila Prabhupada also stresses in this purport the path of Bhakti devotional service is the direct post, the direct path. All the other paths, the Jnana Yoga and the Astanga Yoga, it's very risky business. You may fall down. So this is my daughter, Krishna. Please dispel it. The verdict of Krishna is the final and complete answer to all doubts. Because he knows past, present, and future perfect. But no one knows him. Krishna and Krishna's devotee. And Krishna conscious devotees alone can know what is what. In that time. So yes, Krishna will know answer in text 14. Shri Bhagavan Vatsha Bhaktanavaya Namo Krapina Saskasya Vitya Nai Kalyana Kritka Situka Vatsati. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Snapita, transcendentalist, engaged in auspicious activity that does not meet with destruction either in this world, in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity. And anyone who voluntarily accepts the bodily discomfort for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. One who tries his best in this matter need not to fear degradation. It's what Prabhupada writes. Yeah. So, if someone gives up all material prospects and take complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss of the heritage in envy. Hmm. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one has to suffer reactions for not executing prescribed duties. Therefore, one who fails to discharge governmental activities properly becomes subjected to these reactions. And, we have to be careful. We become Krishna conscious, we engage in a mission of Srila Prabhupada. Then we don't have duties to fulfill to anyone else. But if you give it up, you get your reaction back. Be careful. On the other hand, one who simply follows strictly the prescribed duties need not necessarily attain auspicious result. It is lacking in personal consciousness. Those who are engaged simply in bestial sense gratification without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation belong to the non-regulated section, and those who follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures are classified among the regulated section. The non-regulated section, both civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak, are full of unknown propensities. Their activities are never auspicious. Because when enjoying the unknown propensities of eating, sleeping, eating, and defending, they perpetually remain in material existence, which is always miserable. There are those who are following the path of auspiciousness can be divided in three sections. One, followers of scriptural rules and regulations for enjoying material prosperity. Two, those who are trying to find the ultimate liberation of material existence. Three, those who are devoting Krishna consciousness. So one, those are the followers of karma. Two are the yogis, the jnanis, and three are the devotees. Those who are following the rules and regulations of the scriptures for material happiness may be further divided in two classes. Those who are fruitive walkers and those who desire no fruitive. Those who are fruitive, who are after fruitive results of sanctification may be elevated to the higher standard of life, even the higher planets. But still, because they are not free from material existence, they are not following the truly auspicious path. Yeah. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious. Prabhupada. 41. Now Krishna will first speak about those who have a short practice. 41. Bhakya punya kitam lokam moshitva shaspati sana chuchinam shimatam de upasta vichayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the plans of pious living entity, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So the unsuccessful yogi after a short practice. After a short practice, you have still material desires. You are not yet purified. So the desires are there. Krishna will fulfill your desires and let you go to the heavenly planets where you can enjoy for a long time, but until your credit is nearly zero. Then you come back to the earth, Krishna says, and you are born in the house of a religious and wealthy family, so that you don't have to work too much. And if you want, you can dedicate yourself again to Krishna consciousness. That's a short practice. Short. Yeah.
I heard from some other idea also, I think in other scriptures mention that if you are really rich, it's difficult to take the Krishna consciousness. So I was thinking when the yogi become, it's not success and it doesn't go back all the way. It come back down here. Why the opportunity is less? Like to become Krishna consciousness is difficult for them.
But they get what they want. Their heart is still impure. They go to the heavenly planets. They enjoy that, and they come back. And they are in a house of religious and wealthy. So religion is also there. Consciousness is also there. But it's up to them.
Yeah, but they usually they don't take very easily. When we preach also in outside, preach people they neglect more. They say, no, we don't care. But because some other some people they take, but
I think honestly, most of the Indian congregation are that category. Most of them. They are coming from the heavenly planets. And they coming here to the earth, and it are the most difficult class to preach Krishna consciousness to, because most are so attached to family life and their wealth that they cannot take with commitment to the transcendental mission of Prabhupada. They like to come to the Sunday feast. They like to give donations. They are pious. But to say, oh, I'm going to come up on Brahmachari, stay in the temple, and I'm going to become really serious, it doesn't happen. And that is just what's described here. They are very pious, but they lack the determination because they. That's my experience. I was in Leicester for 10 years preaching to the Indian congregation, which is very nice. Oh, very nice. And they're cooking, gopal, laddus, so nice. But also so attached to that. Please. Gujarat, no, Muslim. The other devotees. But, yeah,
America is heaven and earth, but because they say that America is heaven and earth. So, like very much, not of sense efficacy, but yeah. Very close to the heavenly planet. So why they're taking more?
yeah, best is to take birth in Bharat, India, the land of Krishna. And there you get education. But if the goal becomes to have a nice life and so on, and you are leaving India, land of spirituality, to America, the land of craziness. Prabhupada was on the boat and said, he wrote this poem, Bhagavad Makini, that he wrote, how will these people accept this Krishna consciousness? That but he was thinking like when Bon Maharaj was sent by some Saraswati from Bon, he spoke with Lord Setland, because can you meet a Brahman? That and Bon Maharaj said, yes, you have only to follow these four regulated principles. And Lord Setland said, this is my life. How can I give it up? And those are people in the West, this is their life. all the simple activities. That's their freedom. That in India it's not like that. There's still piety. And then these Indians come to America. That's very difficult. The temptations. So of course today things are changing. India is getting worse and will be soon maybe be more opulent than America. Yeah, changing. Anyway, that's what Krishna says. Can I do? But don't consider my stupid comments. No? But Krishna says, oh. So and then the unsuccessful yogi after a long practice. And that's important. If we do these four things, we stay on the boat, right? Follow the regulated principles, chant, hear the Bhagavatam, and do service. If we do that for a number of years, we are counted as the unsuccessful yogi after a long practice. Now, and that's much more encouraging. That 42. Tava yoginam neva kulabhavati dimmatam etati dulapataram lokichamaya ditvisam. Or if unsuccessful after a long practice of yoga, it takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Surely such a birth is rare in this form. Purport. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami, and our humble self had opportunity to take part in such families. By the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the Transcendental System. So, there Prabhupada was the son of Mohan, and he was the devotee of Krishna. His father was a cloth merchant. Every day he was sitting in his shop, and during the day when there were no clients, he was reading the Bhagavatam. And at evening when the shop closed, he put a pot of rice on the floor. Yeah. So he put a pot of rice on the floor for the master would come, so that they would eat the rice and not the cloth. That's interesting. And Prabhupada was on his youth. He was, as a baby, he was hearing the ringing of the bell of the puja, his father, that his father did every day. And very regularly, nearly every day, they went to the Mulik's temple at the other side. I've been at the Mulik's temple. There you have a beautiful statue of Radha Govinda. And he said, Prabhupada, he was a toddler. He was sitting, gazing at Radha Govinda, and he was standing there for hours, just gazing. A child at that age can usually they must move, they must activity. But he was in samadhi as that, and then 5 years he had his first Ratayatma. And then you have Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj. His father was Bhaktivedanta. From his youth he was engaged even as a young boy. He learned English and heard, and then later he was helping his father with translating and editing books and so on. That he was straight into them. Yeah, that's yes.
Yeah, perfect. It's right. The name is figured out, and you then when you are indebted in hospital.
Yeah, that's good. Shiram, but that's the point. These verses of Bhagavad Gita, they have Krishna's all transcendental powers are in it. And he's hearing these verses. That will have an effect on his heart. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that is the this is very nice. It takes birth in the family of devotees that so that is but Krishna then explains further what's happening. 43. Tatradam buddhi samyogam lavate bhavante kam yadate yadate ya samsita kumana. On taking such a birth, he revives his divine Krishna consciousness of his previous life. And he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success with goal. It means that when they take birth again, they become automatically attracted again to yoga principles in Krishna consciousness. That attraction is there. And when they meet devotees, then immediately they become devotees. And Srila Prabhupada, someone asked Srila Prabhupada, oh, how is it that we have become devotees in this life? Prabhupada said, it's because you were a devotee in previous life. On another occasion, they asked the same question and told Prabhupada, how is it that we have become devotees? But what's the mercy that what Agyat Sukriti did with them? Unknown devotion serves in previous life. Like Prahlad Maharaj in his previous. Prabhupada said, I'm your Agyata Sukriti. The devotee has the power to give back to your devotee. Krishna delegates that so on taking such a birth, he revives his divine consciousness with previous life, and again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success with the goal. The purpose Srila Prabhupada speaks about Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj, he gave everything up. His kingdom, he gave up his kingdom, his family, everything, renouncing, and he went to the forest. And he was doing his sadhana, another sadhana than we do. He did fire sacrifices for Vishnu, and meditation was doing that. And he came to the level of Bhava, nearly love of Godhead. It's beyond liberation. But then he became attached to a deer, an orphan deer. And his Kshatriya mood came out again, have to give protection. But he became extremely attached to the deer. He started playing with it, and when he was walking to the forest, he was taking the deer with him, and he was neglecting his sadhana. That's the point. Even if you are most advanced, never give up your sadhana. You come in a dangerous position. And then, at the time of death, he was thinking of the deer, because the deer was not there. He was in anxiety about the deer. And he got the body of the deer. But because he surpassed already liberation, he got the body of a deer, but he had still his transcendental consciousness. He did not lose it. And he remembered his previous life. That is because he was above liberation. But he remembered the error he made. He remembered this error. Then in his third life, he became John Bharat. And he became the son of a Brahmin. But he learned already. He said, previous life I became a deer by attachment. I don't want to be attached to anything anymore. So he didn't want to be attached either to the family. So he wanted to get rid of this attachment, and he didn't want them to become attached to him. His father was instructing him to be a Brahmin, and you have to wash your hands before going to the toilet and so on. And he did just the opposite every time. And his father became so frustrated. He died from frustration. And then his brothers, they were thinking he's mad because he did not speak. And they gave him the service to look after a plot of land, agricultural land, where crops were growing, so that no animals will come and take. And they gave him some rejected rice, and Bharat was very happy with it. But then this king comes, this king Rauna. He was a great king from the state of Sorbia. At that time, historically, if you put an horizontal line just beneath Delhi over India, everything what is to the north of the state of Sorbia was a big state, the powerful king, and he was carried by palanquin carriers, sudras, and one became ill and had to be replaced, and the other 3 sudra carriers were looking for a replacement, and there they found Chand Bharat sitting, meditating in meditation at this agricultural field, and it looked dirty, a dirty Brahmin, but he looked very healthy and effulgent and strong. So they told him, "You come with us." And then Chadbhat was thinking, this is part of my karma, I will do it. And he tried to carry the palanquin, but then he saw on the ground, he saw some ants, and he did not want to make new karma, and he was trying to avoid these ants. And the palanquin went up and down, and I don't know, King Ogana became seasick maybe. And he looked at the Sudra carriers, and immediately they were full of fear, because they know the king can do anything. So they told the king, "It's this new one, it's not us." So then Rogana, he chastised Janbat, "You should carry it properly." But then it continued carrying like before, trying to avoid the ants. And then the king became angry. And then Chadbharat decided to speak. And he said to the king, "You are thinking yourself a king. Now you are a king. In another life you will be a Roman stool." So you think yourself a king. Anyway, I started to speak to him, and immediately King Ogana understood this is a saintly person, and he offered his apologies, and then there's 3-4 chapters in the Bhagavatam. Ogana instructed him, instructed by Chadbharat, very nice instructions. But you see, three lifetimes, and he had an accident on the way, but still, Krishna takes care of him. That's Krishna's protection for his devotees who are serious in spiritual life. Ananya Sintyantvam Yetsna Paripashtitis Anitya Vitam. I give the devotees what they need to go further, to advance further. So what did he give to Bharat Maharaj? He became a deer. But he gave him the remembrance so that he could realize, oh, I made a mistake. And the next life I did not make a mistake. And Krishna takes care of us in that way. And, so that's encouraging. Rupa Goswami writes in Nectar Devotion that the slow process of devotional service goes mostly over many times. That Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj instructs us, don't take many lifetimes. Get back to God in this lifetime. So that means you have to become serious. That try to fulfill that desire. It's not so strong. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the spiritual master. Good. So how does that happen? Sofia Vyasena Tene Variate Yapasol Pisam Ignazia Peoria Silam Sapta Brahma Hibaktate. By virtue of the divine conscience of his previous life, he automatically becomes attached to the principles even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scripture. Advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada quotes this verse at the end of the third canto. O my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your Lordship are by advanced in spiritual life, even if born in families of devotees. Such chanters undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all sacred places, and finished all spiritual service. Yeah. Yeah. We see even Prabhupada speaks about Haridas Thakur. He was born into a Muslim family, but Lord Chaitanya accepted him as the Namacharya, that he was chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord. Because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life, he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas, known as Sapta Brahman, unless therefore one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness, or become engaged in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Prita, Vrata, only those who are pious and determined, they can take to Krishna consciousness. Yes. No, that is mainly determined by the mercy of the pure devotee. That is that. But piety helps because the coping of dust is less, and you can understand something Krishna consciousness when you hear it when you are pious. Impious, they cannot understand. Like my experience is, if I get people to the temple, they are already vegetarian, more easy to preach to them. Yeah, little more simple. This is being in touch. It's interesting. Even without seeking it, Krishna reciprocates. when I came to Krishna consciousness, in contact with Krishna consciousness, I started to chant. I was going on vacation with my family. I was arriving from Belgium to Germany in the Black Forest. And I was chanting the holiday Hare Krishna while arriving. And then we came in a restaurant, and what do you see? At the wall, a picture of the Rasa dance. And then I come in Freiburg in Breisgau, that's like it's a city very famous university in Germany. And I was in the morning chanting my rounds, and I was already 2 weeks on vacation and no association with the devotee. And I was praying to Krishna. I want association with the devotee. And when I finished just my 16th round, the devotee was standing for me, distributing books. That was nice. So Krishna takes care. He knows your desires from previous lives and brings you in contact. Some way or another. It gives you the opportunity. Because Krishna is eager to get you back also. So here we heard about Namacharan Haridas Thakur. So the last two verses, Krishna is glorifying the yogi. Tapasvibhyodiko yogi, janibhyopi matodika, yamibhyasadiko yogi, tasmat yogi bhavayam. A yogi is better than ascetic, greater than atheist, and greater than Buddhist. Therefore, Arjuna, in all circumstances, being yogi. So we speak of yoga, we refer to the linking of our consciousness with the Supreme Absolute Truth, as devotional service links us. Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness is the ultimate perfection of all yogas, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than Bhakti. Bhakti Yoga is full spiritual knowledge, and therefore not become absurd. And great knowledge without surrender to the Supreme Lord is also imperfect. And put it forth, without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga is Bhakti Yoga. And this is still more clearly explained in the next verse. So, we spoke about Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga has two qualities. It is action and it is a renunciation. Results for Krishna. Action and renunciation. Okay? But then we go to Jnana Yoga. The Jnana Yogi does not want to perform action anymore. He's renouncing. So but he wants to know that he's a spirit soul. He's studying. So, two qualities, Jnana Yoga. Knowledge and renunciation. Right? Karma Yoga was action and renunciation. And here it's knowledge and renunciation. And then we come to the yogi, Astanga yogi. It's also no action, but it is knowledge. You must know you are a spirit soul. Renunciation, yes. And meditation. Three qualities. But then Bhakti Yoga is a complete yoga, has 5 qualities. The complete yoga has 5 qualities, and that which superior. It's action, which is renounced in the full knowledge that we are a servant of Krishna, that it's a meditation on Krishna, and yet the 5th quality, devotion. It has 5 qualities, and therefore it's a superior yoga. And to go back to the spiritual world, you need devotion. That's not in the other yogas. Therefore it's superior. That if you want to study that more deeply, that explanation, you can read Shivaram's books, Shivaram's book, Bhakti, Deland. Nice book. So, Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness is the ultimate perfection of all yogas. Bhakti Yoga is full spiritual knowledge, nothing can excel it. Asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect. Doing work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Empiric knowledge without surrendering to the Supreme is also imperfect. And now we come to the final verse. This is memorization verse. I think so. Yes. But I consider he who worship me with faith, with mind attached to me, to be greater than all types of yogis. That's the translation of Prabhupada. Yoginam bhava sarvesam madhyanam taratmanam shadvam vastevam same yuktatanam. Now all yogis, the one with great faith always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders constant following service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That's my opinion. And the purpose. The living entity is a part of our soul, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam confirms this as follows. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primary of the Lord, with a soul of living entities, will certainly fall down on his constitutional position. In this word, Bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to demigods or any other common being. So all of the yogas are but means to come to the point of bhakti, in bhakti yoga. Yoga means actually bhakti yoga. When karma yoga, that's in here Srila Prabhupada gives the link between the yogas. When karma yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called jnana yoga. That's not all. By serving Krishna, or serving without attachment to the results, clearly one gets knowledge. When jnana increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical processes, that's Ashtanga Yoga, and the mind is on him, it's called Ashtanga Yoga. Once surpasses Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Krishna, is called Bhakti Yoga. So if one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is understood that he has surpassed all other yogis. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, which is called Shyama Sundar, which as beautiful colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is effulgent as the sun, and whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garland, illuminating all sides, is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahmajyoti. So the stage of highest perfection of yoga can be attained by Bhakti Yoga, was confirmed in all Vedic literature. Yasya deva para bhakti yata divita takavam tasheva kathayasta prakashanti matma. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both in the Lord and the spiritual master are all imports of Vedic knowledge automatically. So that's the end of this chapter. Any questions? Comments? Yes, please. No. Jnana Yoga, they are trying to understand the difference between the soul and the body. And then they come to the conclusion that the soul, spiritual, and have nothing to do with this material world. And therefore they try to renounce everything in this world, give everything up. And it's very difficult. The yogi is different. The yogi has already understood that this is spiritual. But yogi wants to experience want to have the experience of the spiritual. And therefore it's going to the Ashtanga Yoga process, by which he comes to the experience of the soul in the heart. And he experiences not only his own soul, but also Paramatma, Krishna. So the yogi process brings up an experience of the soul. And the jnana yogis, by their study, they come to the point of renouncing everything. Because they renounce everything, they get rid of the miseries of life, which are due to material attachment. That's the difference. The jnana yogi realizes Brahman and spirit, and the Paramatma realizes Krishna in the heart. Is that okay?
Yes, but I mean.
Jnana, okay. I understood Jnana Yoga. But Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga is the same. That's the same. Jnana means meditation. So the Ashtanga Yoga must come to the point of meditation. Sorry, I misunderstood.
So, only 10 out of it, but it's like time, very little time left. Although still my attachments are not good. You know, some but when this book came out,
We are doing the best thing. After the Bhakti Sastri course, then it's good to go into the Bhagavatam. Can go to the VHC or the Maya Institute, but go personally in association of devotees and hear the Bhagavatam in association of devotees. Maya or Vrindavan, or hopefully we can also organize it here. Because that's the purpose of the Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya in North America. And we are working for a month on the recognition of the Bhakti Vairagya course. And soon it will be started. In which form, I don't know yet. We are discussing. But it may be also online. Online is good. But better is a person. There's a difference between Bhakti Sastri goes online or here in person. That's yeah. And but that is the best we can do. Yeah. What can we do more? And do some service, but that's an important service to make good advancement. I was in 11 years in Vrindavan with Pujan Modernai, and it changed my life. That was life changing. That because that's the first class way to learn. That's like my spiritual master, Bhakti Charamaj. I was also always worrying, always thinking, why did he become in such a short time so advanced? He joined in 1977. But the point is, Srila Prabhupada gave me the service of translating the Bhagavatam in Bengali. And he had association with Prabhupada asking questions for the translation. And he went in every word he has to meditate very deep, because you have to translate. He went very deep into the Bible. That makes him very quickly advance. But that is the process. And we should not worry too much about leaving our body. Just do the needful. Do the needful. Krishna will guide us.
Associating with Kalada and Maharaj
is great. We went together through really difficult situations in the Balkan, but it was the best time. Yes.
Maharaj, how do I distinguish between deity worship and idol worship?
Deity worship and idol worship. Deity worship is called Archa Veda. The principles for deity worship are described in the Vedas in a Panchatrika Vidi, how to worship the deity. The deity has of Krishna, the form of the deity is described in the Vedas. And the deities must be made according to these instructions. Krishna speaks about that in the Bhakti and 11th canto. So not according to one's imagination, but following authorities. And if one accepts the deity as the authorized deity, as non-different from Krishna, then it is authorized. Prabhupada says, if you don't have faith that the deity is Krishna, then for you it becomes idol worship. That you need the faith that the deity is Krishna. And that's Krishna's mercy. He comes in the form of the deity. We cannot see him except service. But worship of the deity is normally only for Brahmins, because you have to be pure to serve Krishna. That a Brahmin is supposed to be pure in heart, but still, we are serving the deity on behalf of the spiritual master. And then it is allowed even if we are impure in heart. That is beautiful. We can see Krishna on the spiritual platform, yet but we can see his deity. And that is very beautiful. So it depends on four authorities. Kapiti, the data must be installed according to certain rules and so on. That because that was also the concern of Prabhupada in 1974, I think, in Vrindavan, when Krishna Balaram was installed, that he invited local Brahmins to do the installation, so that everyone should accept it as authorized. That because they were a little worried when the residents of Vrindavan, because they were these American boys and girls, that they cannot be Brahmins anymore. Anyway, but it went well. We did Kirtan at the same time. But yes, the deity form is one of our ways to express our love for Krishna and engage in his service. Krishna comes to accept service in that form. That if it's authorized, it's not idol worship. If it's unauthorized, it's idol worship.
I think Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur once said that Vaishnavism is the only religion where there is no idol worship.
In
Vaishnavism,
yeah,
there is no idol worship. But
yeah.
usually people from other faiths accuse us of being idol worship.
Yeah, that's their accusation. They don't understand what Krishna is. That's the problem.
Also because they do not have the description of Krishna in their scriptures, maybe that is one of the reasons they believe that they cannot carry the
The point here is you have this verse, Manusyanam Sastri, among many people. There's also a verse in the Bhagavatam that Lord Shiva speaks to Bhagavatam. Among many thousands who are Muktanam Avisinam, among many thousands who are perfect in liberation, one may become a devotee of Krishna. Many thousands who are perfect in liberation, perfect. Okay? One may become a devotee of Krishna and realize who Krishna is. So such a devotee who becomes a pure devotee realizes Krishna in the heart directly. So when I joined this movement, I was thinking, how is it Krishna God is a blue cowboy? Why does not have anyone in the other religions that realization that God is a cowboy? Millions of people. That the answer is there. Muktanam Abhisidhanam, among millions of those who are perfect in liberation. Tell me, where do you find the process to get liberation in Christianity, in Muslim, Buddhism? It's not there. To get liberation, you must first know that you are a spirit soul, different from the body. That knowledge is not there. If that knowledge is not there, the Bhagavatam says, 112, this is cheating religion. It's not about the absolute. They are ignorance. And if they cannot get liberation, they cannot understand this. Krishna does not find. So that is the difference.
Maharaj, can you give me one example of Santara?
Shantaras, of course, in Vrindavan, everything is in the higher rasas. But Santaras, yeah, can say the grass in Vrindavan maybe, but even that is serving Krishna. That Indasya.
So that example is Hanuman. Can I consider Hanuman here, that here?
Yes, sure, Dasyaras is the servant. Hanuman is the servant. And that is the example of Dasyaras. Sakyaras, Arjuna. That, and then we have, of course, Mother Yasoda, Maharaj, Vatsalyaras, and the gopis, Radharani, Madhuryaras. But Santaras is not in Goloka Vrindavan. It may be, we can say Santaras is typically one who enters into the Brahmajyoti, merging into the Brahmajyoti, but they are not merging, but they are situated in the Brahmajyoti. There they are completely peaceful, and that is Santaras. In the spiritual world, like, I don't know, if I go there, I'll let you know. Good.
People who say that body, how do they explain that?
How do they explain that?
Death of the body, if they consider the body itself.
Yeah,
And how do they explain death?
yeah. That is always something that I was thinking about when I came into contact with Krishna consciousness. I understood everything what I think I am is wrong. You come to the real point that the servant of Krishna and nothing is mine. All these attachments are foolishness. That and then you healthy because you become detached from all these things and you don't take the body so serious. If you have to leave the body, okay, I have nothing to do with it. I'm a spiritual, I'm a servant of Krishna. But for the materialists, it's different. They think we are the body. And all their attachment and their achievement, that's their existence. But that existence will come to an end with death. And what they think they are, that will really die on that moment. So death is a reality for them. That it's illusory, but it's a reality for them because what they think they are will be finished. We become devotees. We think we are servant of Krishna, different from this body. And when death comes, we continue our service in another circumstance. Another circumstance. It never stops. And what is more optimistic, you think? The last one. And it's reality, Krishna gives us that knowledge. And then you can live a peaceful life. But their life is full of anxiety, but it will come to that is a reality for them. What they think, that will die. What they think they are, that will die. That will be finished. These were my thoughts.
Yeah, but the body is still there. So how do they explain how death happened? How do they explain that? Because everything is still there.
Yeah, everything is still there.
They cannot explain the dissociation of the soul from the
Yeah,
body because they don't believe in it.
they say consciousness appears at a certain time for matter. But our reply to that is, you prove that. How does that?
Yeah, it has never happened.
They cannot
That
explain.
has never happened.
That is essential. What is the source of consciousness? And we will discuss that in the 13th chapter in more detail, the source of consciousness. That Yeah, I must say, I made all these PowerPoints. For the next 6 chapters, I have no PowerPoints, a bit different. That I made PowerPoints again for the last 6 chapters. It's an old endeavor that's I worked many years on these things. But anyway, the middle 6 chapters are confidential. No power slide. Very good.
So are you going to send the book? It's like,
Yeah, the lectures are already there. Only the last one I will now put. And if you want, do you want the PowerPoint? Or I will post them. That's okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put them on the WhatsApp group and come from there. You can upload it. That's good. Good. Thank you very much. I wish you the best, and we will reconvene on Monday for the middle 6 chapters. Going quick. Hare Krishna. Thank
But
you.
Sukhdev Goswami was not in Sanskrit. He says, Parimiste Govi, Bunge, Uttam Slow Leela, Rujeta Rajasya, Achananda. So that Mail Bunge was not Sanskrit.
But, well, Sukadev Goswami, special case,
Oh,
because